Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. We're here to start the show. Do you know what show we're here for? Weebs of the Ring, episode 63. It's Smackdown, diggity down. We're here to have a good ass time. And you know what? It's the coverage for tonight. It's time for the Stampede. We have Grappling with the Week, our first segment of the night. And it will be discussing NXT No Mercy. Did you see this past NXT? That girl, Chelsea Green, went to challenge Roxanne, but no, got knee to the face by Julia Sen. No, you and me, USA, and sorry, CW, first week, match happened. Only 3 words she said, and Chelsea Green was pissed. But she did get a W tonight on SmackDown, because for our first coverage, we have Cody Rhodes and Solo Sikoa set for next week for the premiere at USA for a steel cage match. And then we have the Bloodline versus DIY Street Profits. We have our mid-card story of Bayley versus Tiffany. The story is cooking. Naya's questioning. She's interrupting. She takes a win for Tiffany, but things get confusing. Giovanni Vinci versus Apollo Cruz. Have you ever heard of a 1, 2, 3 second match? It must have reminded you when it happened for Brock Lesnar versus Kofi Kingston. We have KO versus Grayson Waller and Austin 3, a triple threat that was supposed to start something, but nothing happened. Questionable. LA Knight with Andre and Carmelo Hayes set for a part 5 series. And then we have Midcard versus Chelsea Green to end the show. So without further ado, if you heard our rundown, if you heard what we're discussing for the Stampede, don't forget, like the video, like the stream if you're enjoying the content that we're doing. Don't forget to subscribe if you are a returning subscriber and you forgot. Hey, it's okay to forget. And don't forget, if you want to tell us your feedback, what you thought about the show, without further ado, comment down below. So without that being said, let's start the show. Let's hear our host and say the beautiful intro of anime in their souls.
Oh, that was a stampede for the ages, everybody. How are you doing tonight? It is Friday night. Hopefully the week was kind to you all. If it wasn't, well, hey, you know what? We'll deal with that week here in a little bit when we grapple with it. But hey, I see we got Oblivion in the chat. I am not going to acknowledge that, unfortunately, just like I will not acknowledge Solo Sikoa as a tribal chief, because he is not my tribal chief. Neither is he Drops or Vash's. But hey, we're all here. We're all excited. We had SmackDown. We had a whole week of wrestling to consume. So we'll touch on that, but mainly going to be some SmackDown talk. So yeah, love to see the old faces here. But if you're new here, well, let me just tell you who we are, because we have anime in our soul. We have thoughts of wrestling that are out of control. And we're just a trio of weebs who love the entertainment of professional wrestling. So allow us to be the voices inside of your head as we talk about the wrestling events of the evening, give our thoughts and predictions of what's come, and provide an experience unlike any other, and inclusive to all of you nerds out there. So make sure to grab your steel chair, yell for the table, and get put through an experience unlike anything you've ever even dreamed or imagined of. We are, of course, brought to you by AniMa Studio, and this is the Weebs of the Ring podcast. Of course, as always, I am your world champion Watkins here, and I am joined by our lovely other 2 guest hosts. We have on my right hand shoulder is Vash, the legend himself. Vash, how you doing tonight?
I'm going to change it for the Friday Night SmackDown show. I am Legendary Vash. I am him. Welcome to the show where we talk about Friday Night SmackDown. We have the Part 5 series, and I can't wait to see who will they push over to go for the normal contender for our boy, the U.S. champion. And by the way, I got to give props to Michael Cole for the segue, the Welcome to USA next week, and then the U.S. champion song came on. Beautiful segue. I want to just give that little nice little tip to the hat.
Ah, yes, many tips of the hat happening. And I know one other person that is excited for us to be out of the Fox era for SmackDown. We've got on my left, Drop This Box. Drop, how you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good, and like you said, also really happy that we're finally wrapping up the Fox era because oh boy, it's honestly just feels good to get out of here.
Oh my god, it does, dude. They had to get just in that main event. They had to get one last big mute just right in
Oh
Oh
there.
my
yeah.
god, that
They
big
they
mute
had
annoyed
to.
me because everyone was just saying, "Oh shit, oh shit," or "no shit," or something
Mhm.
in between those lines, and
Well, totally.
after that, no mute, no audio. I was like, "You son of a bitch!" Thank God, Fox, you're
Yep.
leaving. You and your censorship and by the contract, by the books, and yo USA, you better give me picture by picture. I will love you forever, USA. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Vash wants his picture in picture. I think we all do though.
We'll do.
But
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So let's go ahead and tackle that old week here because hey, there was a lot of wrestling to kind of just watch and consume and all that, but we're gonna touch briefly on maybe some of the things that we caught this week. Unfortunately, I did not get to catch much outside of WWE. I was unfortunately not one of the 660,000 people who watched Dynamite this week, so sorry I couldn't add to that number with their sorry shots fired. But I know my other two hosts here got to watch some NXT No Mercy. So I'm gonna leave it to you. Talk to us a little bit. How was No Mercy this weekend? This past
I actually
weekend.
I enjoyed No Mercy, and probably for multiple reasons, but I think the reason that really stood out to me, and I keep watching it over and over and over again throughout the week, is Julia officially making her debut in WWE, which is something that we knew for a while was going to happen eventually, but she had to finish what she was doing with Marigold. And now that she has everything out of the way with that, she could focus on what's going on within NXT now, which I'm honestly super excited about that because I'm really excited for her and Roxanne's match that they confirmed on Tuesday. That's going to be on the premiere episode of CW, which is going to be in Chicago, by the way, which already smart moves off the bat there because, you know, that's a very hot crowd. I mean, you're going to have CM Punk involved in that show. So that was the perfect place. Like, if they really want to make an impact of Julia and they really want like a hot crowd with this match between her and Roxanne, I mean, that's the perfect way to do it. So I am very happy with what they're doing. I love the
Mhm.
presentation, which is always a good thing that comes with a lot of these wrestlers. You got to make sure you have a good presentation. They nailed the entrance. You could, I'm not afraid to say this, but you can feel the aura when she comes out. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, why you toss the word aura around?" But you can only feel it with like certain people. Not everybody you get that feeling with. And when she comes out, it
Yeah.
almost feels like, I even saw people say online, it almost feels like she's like some sort of Elden Ring boss, just based on the sort of
Ooh.
like
Okay.
aura that she has, and based on people that followed her journey with her wrestling career, just know how intimidating of an opponent she can be. So that's
Mhm.
basically like my highlight when it comes to like NXT No Mercy that like really stood out to me. Obviously, things of Oba Femi I always look forward to, but other than that, they, you know, those are my thoughts on No Mercy.
All right. So with Obafemi, I actually want to throw this question out real quick. Do you think he's
Well,
you think he's almost done with that North American title? You
well,
think he should like
What I
start
think
I
they're
would
moving
say
doing.
towards that main event?
we are
Hmm.
1 month away from him surpassing the longest reign of the NXT
Yeah,
title. Oh, sorry, the
yeah.
North
Yeah.
American NXT title.
No,
So
you're not wrong.
Hmm.
it's really interesting to see where it leads up to. Because right now we have the current storyline with Trick, with P, and everything going on, and then we have Ego
Yeah.
and Joe Hendry. So that already passed. So right now we move on for the next storyline for Ego. Really curious to see where does Obafemi fit in or into this after he becomes the longest reign. Are they gonna just push it off? Is
Hmm.
he gonna drop it? It would be really curious to see. Like, what's my fart theory? I haven't watched too much NXT to give you a good theory of what or how Sean cooks. So I can't really give you a best theory on my end, but I'm really curious to see where they lead up to with Obafemi because he's been very unstoppable. He has been having a current feud with the Don, with the D'Angelo family. So that's been so far from what I saw in the video package from No Mercy has been really interesting. So I like what I've been looking, and the line he did this past NXT Tuesday, this man Cook. I love that line that he told the D'Angelo family. It was, in today's age, man could get canceled, but I love it.
Yeah, like
Vash loves it. Yeah.
Basically, like what I see with Obafemi is I feel like they are gonna allow him to be the longest running North American champion because he's so close to doing it. So honestly, it makes no sense for him not to pass Mello when it comes to that. So I know that's gonna happen for sure. And if I had to choose any person on that roster for him to drop that title to, like if they really want to elevate one of their next stars, I would probably have to say Javon Evans. I feel like that's been a common name that's been brought up because that's pretty much like a David and Goliath sort of match where it's like you got Javon Evans, who's not even like comparable to Obafemi, but I can definitely see him being the one to break the reign, and then he can have all that momentum under him and it can help elevate him. And then I feel like after that, he's more than likely, and I'm pretty confident with this, he's more than likely going to have a run with the NXT title. There's no way he goes to the main roster after this. Honestly, doesn't make any sense, especially when there really isn't any plans for him. But considering how they're building him up in NXT right after he drops that title, just like how we saw with Gunther, he moved on to the main event picture. That's more than likely what they're going to be doing with Obafemi because I can't see that guy leaving NXT without a run with the NXT title. Like that's 100% happening. I'm pretty confident in that.
I thought,
and even with my
I was just gonna add that if I would say a person that will drop the title to him, I will hope the D'Angelo because I feel like right now he's getting a good push and he was carrying the Heritage Cup before this. So if he will have the NXT North American, this will probably get him that push to go for the main event if it works out. Because I like the D'Angelo storyline of what he is about the Don. That's questionable, but I will hope that he could pass the torch from the Don into his Squeaks, I think his name is.
Dax,
thank you very much.
Dax.
I will hope that he could just pass it like the Don to him, and then he could move on to the main like roster of NXT like for the main event picture, and then next year probably for the main event for the main roster. But that's my hope, like, because right now I like the storyline that he has with him and like how he's involved with them, and he used to carry the Heritage Cup, so I feel like this would be a good push. And then after that, for Javon Evans to take care of D'Angelo, I feel like that would be a great push after.
Okay. And like I was gonna say, even with my limited knowledge of NXT, Javon Evans is one of those names that keeps getting thrown out there.
Oh yeah.
So it seems like NXT is very like high on him. So it wouldn't surprise me if they do give him like that win either, or they could also throw him into the main event picture. But I don't know if he's ready for that yet. At least on the NXT level. All right, cool. Other than that, I mean, again, I know I didn't really get to watch Dynamite this week because didn't get to.
Well, let's also tell people why, because we will also watch recording during the time for the Anime Lady podcast during the time.
True, yeah.
So we did release a video. If you guys do want to see a coverage of the trash Minecraft trailer and the other topics, that you could check out the time codes for said podcast that came out this past Thursday, September 5th at 9 p.m. EST. And have fun. It's episode 153. But I did watch other content for this week. Like I did watch NXT No Mercy. Like dropped it, and I also watched NXT from this past Tuesday. Will be watching with drop every week NXT on Tuesday on Discord, so it'll be very fun if anybody wants to join us as well. We haven't decided if we ever do a sidecast, but at the moment we're just having a little chill time on the Discord, so check it out. However, I will say NXT this past Tuesday is really fun with the ending tease with Chelsea Green. I want to admit that not a lot of people expected that, and even hearing drop reaction while watching with him, like, come on, why you have her out? Like, come on, I was expecting Julia. Like, just seeing that reaction of how like Sean literally just blue balls everyone. That's it. And Chelsea Green playing on the nose, like, yeah, you thought somebody else would come out, but no, it was me. I was like, girl, you are hilarious. You literally play on the nose. What's up?
Didn't they just do that this year with freaking what's his name? with Jinder Mahal and The Rock? They literally just did that this year. Oh my gosh. All right. Now they're copying each other's homework again from the past year.
Hey, if it works, if it works, it don't break. So to me, it's been amazing in that aspect.
Yeah,
I like the
look. I'm just glad that they're on the Chelsea Green agenda, like I am. So
yes.
You know, yeah, keep using her. Keep using her as you do.
Like we joke around. Triple H is watching the podcast. He's hearing two intellectuals talking about the show and breaking it down. Even if he might not agree or disagree with our opinions, it's totally fine. Just like this past NXT No Mercy main event also was really good. I love the interaction between Trick as being the guest referee and having Joe Hendry. I really thought he was gonna win that night. They really played it off, and Pete Dunne coming in Sunday NXT No Mercy. He coming in Monday as well against Sheamus, and we gotta talk about it. Our boy Trick Williams literally dropped a mixtape on throwing shade on fucking Pete Dunne. This is hilarious. I didn't expect for Trick Williams to drop a beat in a music video and having the NXT roster just doing like a little lean back. Like every time I saw him like doing a little side, it was hitting me. Like I just felt like I was hearing the phrase, "Now lean back, now lean back." It was hilarious. Pete Dunne got flame, and then I think they're also Trick Williams is gonna be on Wild and Out on the live tour tomorrow with Nick Cannon and everything, so that threw me off. I'm like, oh shit, Trick is being busy, not even as the champion of NXT, but he's being busy. He like is showing the main event. He's being popular. He's being treated well. So I love that. And Eagle, you did a good main event. I mean, I like you as a character, but you're doing good what you're doing as a wrestler. So I give you props. I just want to give where credit is due.
Right. Nah, I get that. All right, yeah, so it sounds like NXT stuff was all good. The only thing I'll mention about AEW that I guess really was the highlight of it, and I kind of feel bad that not many eyes were on it, was the whole Swerve Hangman Adam Page thing. So if you guys didn't know or realize, so on Wednesday, like maybe like late afternoon or early evening time.
Yeah, I saw the meme, yeah.
A news article came out, or like some news story came out saying, oh look, Swerve bought his childhood home. And I swear, when you go under the comments of that, everyone was like, oh, Hangman's gonna burn it. He's gonna burn that house down. And what happens during Dynamite?
Yep.
Oh look, there goes Swerve's childhood home up in flames, and Hangman just
flames.
The fucking the crazy bastard just has a chair and a drink out there just chilling while
I heard that was his father's chair too. Swerve's father's chair, yeah.
Wow.
It's even better. So yeah, it turns their match at All Out this weekend into many words are about to be said. A non-sanctioned, lights out, steel cage match.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not going to be able to watch All Out this weekend, unfortunately, but that's probably going to be the highlight of the weekend So
I will be
I'm
definitely
looking
checking
forward to
out. I will see what time it
Mhm.
happens. Maybe if I do a little Discord watch parties just to see the type of bullshit all out is, because also people talking shit about it
Yeah.
has even barely sold any tickets for Chicago, so that's been a little upset for a lot of people throwing the numbers at. And by the way, the meme I'm talking for a lot of people that have not seen it, if you're not on the Discord or have not seen the timeline on Twitter from what we have seen, the meme about on Monday's show, they made a whole storyline about a bracelet, and then on Wednesday they burned a
Oh,
dude's
yeah.
house down.
Oh, yeah.
So it's hilarious how people are so upset about storytelling, no matter
Oh,
how
yeah.
engaging it could be or entertaining
Yeah.
the actors are involved with it. So you like, hey, you wanna be happy and excited for AW to book a storyline of two characters that has been only been doing it for 3 weeks or less than a month, and it gets or a house burned down, but you're excited for that. But then the storyline has been going on for almost 8 to even 10 months since his return. Since we heard from Drew McIntyre that once CM Punk arrived at Survivor Series, from Chris interview, he said that he left the building and dipped. He said, "Fuck this! I don't want to see this dude here on his on his welcome back. Hell no."
Yeah.
So a storyline that's been happening for 10 months, and you're mad that a bracelet got involved for the past 3 months.
Yeah.
And a guy see reds and he get crazy. I'm like, yo, yeah, fans are wilding. I started to go on a rant about it, or kind of in a very calm
Oh.
type of rant about it. I'm so calm
Yeah,
talking about it, just throwing shade
good.
about it to the fans. But it's like, yo, yeah, I think just shut the fuck up respectfully about this. Who's what better in storytelling is definitely AEW or WWE. And like, yo, guys, just enjoy the content as is. And a house
Exactly.
got burned down. How you excited about this? Like, yes, it's a prop house or fake house, whatever it was. But your guys' fans are excited that a house of a man that he's, so-called bought got burned down. Yeah, or what's the word? Yeah, arsonist.
Fickle.
Psycho.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
that too. Yeah, psycho,
That's all fickle.
arsonist.
too.
Fickle.
You're fickle. That too. All 3 words applies. You're
Yeah.
fickle,
I
psycho, and
have.
arsonist.
Oh, I'm so
What?
glad Vash brought this up because Vash pretty much took everything out of my mouth, so I don't have to say anything. But I am going to say something else that also relates to that, not in an AEW way, but when it came to Julia this past week. So
Oh my
So
gosh, I know exactly what you're.
It was funny that IG or Twitter, they posted a video with a different camera angle. Go spit some facts, Trick.
Yeah, go drop that knowledge.
so like
New merch.
like the thing, it's like the thing that yeah, which is something we definitely have to look into because we do have a lot of fun ideas. But like
Oh, yeah.
I want to say this when it comes to like that whole thing that happened on Wednesday, is that I remember when Julia came out, everybody was excited because she's finally here. We get to see her become a star in WWE, which is something that you should applaud for because, hey, this is a new beginning for her. You want to see how things work out for her, which I'm pretty confident based on the entrance that they gave her, which not many people really get special entrances like that. It's only Pacific people you could really tell they care for, but I'm pretty confident she's going to have a good time. But the discourse that happened with Julia that really annoyed me, and I'm not the type of person that really likes going on Twitter and quote tweeting people back and forth when it comes to certain things on there. Back then I might have said something, but nowadays I usually keep it to myself because it's really pointless going back and forth for somebody that doesn't really know what they're talking about. But the discourse happened when Julia delivered, I believe it's called her G trigger, which is something that Mariah May has used before, something that Kenny Omega has used before, where it's pretty much that running knee to like the face. And she used that on Chelsea Green, which Chelsea Green, props to her, she's always been a great seller. She used that to knock her out, so then she can have that moment with Roxanne to confirm their match at CW. The discourse came because it looked like it didn't connect, and a lot of people were saying that she's botching. And then my question for you when it comes to things like that, it's like, okay, you're calling her out for this, but if she hit Chelsea with that move, then you would say that she's an unsafe worker. So
Mm-hmm.
what do you really want to say in this scenario? Do you want to say that she's an unsafe worker or she's a botch machine? Like, you got to choose one, because no matter what happened in that scenario, which what happened was portrayed the way it was supposed to be online, but it's like, regardless what would have happened in that scenario, you would have complained either way. So I really don't understand why we're taking our time to just pick on Julia and say this and that if you don't really know what you're talking about. And this sign right here needs to go away. Like, if I really wish that I could get rid of this sign, because this brings me back to the days where I used to cover like anime and manga like 5 years ago, where whenever a new series came out, people were like, oh my god, My Hero over Black Clover, Black Clover over My Hero. Get rid of that fucking sign, dude. Like it just needs to stop. There's literally no reason why that should have been like a topic of discussion to begin with. She's not botching, she's not messing up, she's not trying to like brutally murder Chelsea Green. She's just playing her role as her character. So that right there didn't really make any sense to me. And yet again, regardless what happened in that scenario, you guys would be fickle and you would complain either way. Just just random shit coming out of this week. It's ridiculous with Vash shed, and then the stuff with Julia. It's ridiculous. And just to give just quick seconds on what Vash shed, each of those stories that goes on with CM Punk and Drew and Swerve and Hangman, they have their own way of telling that story between that pairing of CM Punk and Drew McIntyre and Swerve and Hangman. They all have layers to their story, and certain things are added into their stories that goes along with it. When it comes, like, you're comparing both of them. Okay, what's important to Swerve? His childhood home. What's important to CM Punk? That bracelet that has his wife's names on it and his dog. So obviously that's something important to them that Swerve, that Hangman and Drew took from them to put them in that mental state to just make them go ballistic. So like, what's the whole argument here? Just enjoy the content, like Vash shed, and not complain about everything. It's just ridiculous. Just the discourse that happens online every single day. I mean, God forbid Cody can be going down the ramp and he fucking trips and falls on his ass, and then you're gonna end up saying that he's botching and he's a botch machine just because of how he walks. Or I'm a botch machine if I like trip over a fucking rock outside. Like, come on.
Yeah. Because, like, it's one thing to kind of, like, point it out, joke about it and all that, kind of like, like a botchamania kind of thing. Like that's one thing. But, like, there were legitimately people, like you were saying, Drop, like, that were actively complaining about it. I'm just like, guys, first of all, if it was a botch, botches happen. Like, nothing's ever 100% clean unless you're Kenny Omega versus...
Chat,
Okada,
please remember what happened to our girl last week from the Sky Pirates. Just a simple botch, just rip off a simple eyelid. Girl, take out the champ.
Yeah, so you know what, have your fun and all that, but like at the end of the day, don't let the meme or the joke alter your perspective on something. Or your interpretation of something, because man, it happens a lot in the anime manga community, especially when headcanons get involved as well. But that's neither here nor there. All right, well, hey, that's basically how we grappled with the week. Let us know down in the chat or the comments if you're watching this after the live stream. Let us know how you grappled with the week, whether it's through Raw, SmackDown, NXT, TNA, AEW, all those awesome, wonderful, beautiful contents. But we are now here to talk about SmackDown. We're going to move to our main storyline, which is also our WWE title picture, because Cody Rhodes had to respond to a certain challenge that Solo the Drought decided to drop down. I think I know how we feel about Cody versus Solo, but sorry, I'm gonna go over to Vash for this one because you need a bit of a breather, buddy. You went on a tirade over all those people. Vash, how you feeling about Cody versus Solo match again.
Look, this match was Solo. Um, glad it's not happening at Bad Blood. Thank you very much, Cody. Thank you for what
Yeah.
you want to talk about. You coming in looking all nice and swerve, looking nice and
Yeah,
amazing.
just trying to raise you up now. So
Hey, yeah, no. Cody. That's what I'm saying. Cody looking nice, Orico Suave, Suuntai. He's always coming professional as a champion. Cause you know, I keep forgetting when I look at him. Not saying that he's a champion, just how professional he is. Because how Roman Reigns, used to come in with sweats and a sweater. So just seeing how
Yeah.
our champion Cody literally coming in nice and Suuntai. So like, oh, that works. With Cody doing this promo and said like, hey, you know what? You deserve this title shot. I will give you this. You know what? You're amazing. You are good at what you do, my guy. Solo answer, yeah, okay, yeah. I know you got me. I deserve it. And I love how Cody interrupted and said, nah, not talking to you. I'm talking to the guy in the back. The one in the
Yeah.
back that screams a
Oh.
lot.
the one that actually is more
About-
getting more attraction than you.
Yeah, the one that deserves the
How
actual
Cody
tribal
wanted
chief.
to tickle my pickle and all that.
I mean, you're not wrong. I would totally buy into Fatu being
Oh,
he has that factor
same
that fits
here.
it.
I would have loved if he just took it, or if Solo said some bullshit like, "Alright, you take this opportunity." Because I remember us saying this last week. I forgot if it was the Bachelor Berlin show coverage or if it was the SmackDown coverage. But I know one of us said it. We brought up said, "Yo, what happened if Solo tells Jacob to fight him, but then he takes the belt because he did the same
Oh,
thing
God.
with him as a title?" We said that last week, and I'm laughing that it actually came close to the idea tonight, because I know the amount of blue balls that this gave to everyone, including myself, even to Watkins, saying that, hey, Cody and Jacob Fatu will be happening. I'm like,
Should happen one
yo,
day.
what? But no, it didn't, because this man Solo felt the illest jealousy, just staring at Jacob like, boy, why you coming up here? Are you accept this match? Get the fuck off my ring. Get the
Yeah.
fuck off my ring. I wish Solo spoke on the mic instead.
My tribal
I
chief.
wish Solo said this on the mic instead of just staring at him. I'm like, no, act bossy. If you want to be the next tribal chief, be what fucking Romans like spoke on the mic.
Exactly.
Simple words, but no, Solo. You just look at him like you're dumbfounded, like, boy. And then, like exactly what Watkins was doing. Yes,
You are my tribal chief. It's just like, dude, no. See, here's the thing. Jacob is laying it on so thick with that. Like, because here's the thing. I
gotta
thought
get
this was
that.
going to lead. Oh my God, yes, please. I was also kind of laughing because I was quote retweeting our tweet for the show, and I had
Yeah.
to use my Jacob Fatu.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Just
let me guess. Is that why you laughing? Because it's like,
Yeah.
Look, some of the best comedy is the kind that you just make yourself laugh with.
So, Chat, as
but
you know,
no.
if you ever see on Twitter being posted from the brand channel and it has that gif, you know who posted the tweet.
Oh yeah.
100% guilty as charged. The person that just admitted it. He will use it any chance he gets.
Look, just because Jacob Fatu is our mascot for the show. But anyways, all right,
Go ahead.
my point, I'm getting to it. So I thought it was going to lead to a storyline where it's like, 'cause, you know, leading to this eventual, like, because here's the thing, I'm foreseeing like Jacob leaving this bloodline because of Solo, like, and I thought part of it was going to be from like him actually beating Cody and then giving that title to Solo. Because we haven't seen that in a long time with WWE. Like, I mean, the one that always just comes to mind for me is when Ted DiBiase got the WWE title from, I think it was Andre the Giant. He had like, what was it? I think the story was that he had hired Andre to beat Hogan for it, and then give it to Ted DiBiase. But I don't think he held it that long after that. It was something similar to like those lines and all that. So I thought like something very similar was going to happen here, where it's like, okay, Jacob Fatu beats Cody Rhodes, and like already I can probably hear a lot of people being like, "What?" But like, again, storyline and all that. Because that's the thing. Because like, especially after watching Jacob tonight, and just in every single segment, he is the reason that Bloodline Junior is as dominant as they are. It's not. It's not all four of them. There is an eye in that team, and it is Jacob Fatu. Like, there's an eye in that bloodline. So like, Cody just tickling us, just teasing us. Oh my God, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Come on, Cody. You know what we want.
So I wonder, like, Jacob Fatu, yes, we're excited. We are thrilled. We're fucking, like, pumping in my veins. Like Walker's always says, pumping in my veins, putting my veins, inject it. Put it, the adrenaline in his soul. Like our man Cody Rhodes song starts. I'm really curious to see how this fight would it be. I wonder if this will start the show. Because for those that don't know, before we get to our main event of tonight's SmackDown, Roman Reigns was scheduled for the season premiere of Friday Night SmackDown on USA. They said after his second appearing in August, they said that he'll be returning on September 13th. They haven't touched or reposted that idea since then. So that means they have either taken it out or want to be a surprise, and hopefully people have forgotten.
Yeah, I'm starting to go for the surprise factor that they might want to pull in, because if you're thinking about like a season premiere, and this goes for any show besides just wrestling, you always want to make that good first impression that captures a lot of people's attention. Like after that first episode, people are like, oh shit, I gotta tune into next week. And definitely factoring in Roman, so now Cody could actually move on now and focus on whoever person that he feuds with next besides Bloodline. That would definitely be a good surprise factor for them to do. So I can definitely see that becoming a thing. But like just giving like some thoughts on the whole thing that goes on with that we saw that me and Watkins and Vash got blue balled earlier. Like I already knew deep in my head, deep in my mind, it wasn't gonna happen. But just the thought of it, like, it just got me excited, because at least it's them telling us that, yeah, we know you guys want this match. You guys will eventually get it down the line. It just depends, like, okay, when exactly is this match is going to happen? So at least it's put out there in existence, so people know that, yeah, people want Cody and Jacob Fatu. Because if you were going to plan like a feud for like Cody to do next, I mean, I would definitely buy into that rather than a solo match. And I'm honestly really happy, which goes to show that they probably tuned in to watch our show. I do like how they are doing it for the season premiere of next week, because that makes a lot more sense. Because, okay, season premiere, obviously our world champion is going to put his title on the line for that season premiere of the show, and it makes perfect sense. Okay, do it in a steel cage. That way it's just Cody and Solo, even though people probably will get involved in that anyway. But at least that gives us that match there, so we don't have to wait a month until Bad Blood to see it, because we've seen it already. We don't need to see it again. We know Solo's not going to get the title, especially with this feud with Roman. Roman's not going to let Solo just walk away with a title. Roman will be foaming out of the mouth to ruin every chance that Solo gets to that title, especially with what happened to him. And I'm just really happy with the approach that they're doing. And I'm also just looking forward to seeing exactly like what happens next week, which a theory of mine that I had in my head that would definitely help like build that new era of USA when it comes to SmackDown is like, it's not just Roman being there, because Roman was actually seen talking on a podcast a day ago where he was with Paul Heyman. So it just tells me, like, okay, when Roman comes back, he'll be with Heyman, and I would assume Jimmy would be with them as well, because Jimmy was also recently referenced in that vignette from last week.
You're right.
When Solo was given that whole rundown, it's like, okay, you know, I took out my own brother, I took out the wise man, and then I took down Roman Reigns. And what happened, you know, last time when we were building up to SummerSlam, you eventually got that reveal of Roman Reigns coming back. So right off the bat, that's telling me, like, okay, next week, you know, a lot of shit's gonna break out, and then the show's gonna end where you don't just see Roman, but you also see Heyman and Jimmy there, which if that happens, good, because if we are going to doing a Bloodline versus Bloodline 2.0 War Games match, you need to start building to that now, because you can't just wait until like October and then start building the match, because then that pay-per-view is like the next month, because you also have to factor in a lot of things. You got to look at Roman repairing those relationships with Jimmy and Jay, and if Sami Zayn gets involved, hypothetically, like after this whole thing with Gunther, which we know obviously Sami's not going to win the title because they want Gunther to go on a dominant reign. You know, you got to figure out exactly how we're going to answer these questions, because you can't just have Roman be like, okay, guys, let's get together and let's go against the Bloodline 2.0. Like, no, you got to tell a story. You got to build those relationships up again when you're entering that pay-per-view. And the perfect spot to do that would be next week. So I'm honestly like super excited to see how this turns out. I honestly can't remember the last time we really got a steel cage match. I think on the top of my head, it was probably with Liv and Becky, when it was Becky's last night on Monday Night Raw, when it came to her like whole free agent status.
Oh yeah, so that's 3 months ago, because I think that was in June.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, that was like in June.
I don't remember that. Holy shit.
Yeah, it was like in June, or it was like Becky's last day as like a wrestler, and then after that day, she was like a free agent. So that was like the last time we ever got it. So I'm happy we're getting that again. And I see what you guys are saying online. You guys want Cody to do that that moonsault on the top of the cage like he did in AEW. Maybe he'll do it, because Cody, when it comes to him, he always likes doing those moves every so often. You're not going to see it all the time, but if the match calls for it and it makes sense, then you know, you might see that moonsault that you want to see from Cody on there, because I believe he was in a match with Wardlow when he did that, and the crowd popped like crazy. So I would absolutely love to see something like that. But I'm excited, because even though I'm not really the biggest fan of seeing another Cody and Solo match, at least when you add the stipulation of a steel cage match involved, you got my interest.
Yeah, because like, where do you go from the whole not tribal combat, the whole like Bloodline rules thing? Because like that, at least for the Bloodline, that's like the ultimate stipulation for them. But I mean, I feel like that's just kind of become cameo fest. Stipulation. Which
my hope is
fine,
that for the steel cage,
whatever.
Jacob Fatu just climbs it. He climbs it from the outside to go inside, and he just wrecks shit up.
I want him to eat the cage. I'd want him to like just grab a hold of
probably
the
would
fence
be. He probably
and just
break
start
open.
like.
Imagine
I just want him to like use his teeth and just like Tasmanian devil himself into the cage.
Imagine if he eats the cake, if he eats the chain of the steel cage and it's a cake.
And it's a cake.
Yeah, as I'm saying, sorry, I got very confused with cake and chain for some reason. My brain was like cake chain. It just got mixed up. Overall, I'm excited for Steel Cage. Good idea for season 1 premiere on the USA. Congrats, Fox. Go fuck yourself. It was a pleasure.
No more black screens. No more muting.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
I can actually understand. It still brings me back, like when The Rock was trying to cut a promo. I didn't know what the hell he was saying half the time, because it was getting cut out, and it was so hard to cover it in the show. Like, okay, when we were trying to talk about that promo at Rock when he was at Roman in the ring, and it was the whole build up to WrestleMania, we didn't really know what he was saying because it kept getting blocked out. So I'm glad we can move on from that.
Yep. So we are in a new beginning.
Can we just shout out Nick Aldis for being the only man who could stop 9 guys from fighting each other, and yet
he does more.
Adam Pearce on Raw.
It actually makes me curious how he would handle like Punk and Drew if they were like on SmackDown,
right?
Especially when he's not like afraid to like say certain things or whatever. Like, I'm pretty sure even like Bronson Reed, like I'm pretty sure he would do more than just like a suspension. Like I could see like Nick Aldis doing things. It's like, hey, you're gonna keep up this shit. No more title opportunities.
Yeah,
and I'll hold that against
you on the show. Then
I'm still waiting for Randy. I'm still waiting for Randy to do the extra fine RKO that he paid fucking Nick Aldis to do.
You might actually be seeing that shortly if Randy turns heel, it gets into that feud with Cody. They start doing
true.
contract signings, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then, and in a way, that's kind of like it was foreshadowing, like all those months ago, and then Randy does it again. He's like, "Well, you remember last time I
paid
gave you the money
extra.
for
Yeah.
it."
I told
Yeah.
you it was coming. I just didn't win.
Everything,
Yeah.
everything gets added in there for a reason. So
So
Exactly.
overall, I'm happy for the steel cage. Great idea.
yeah,
And Nick
Yeah.
Aldis, I agree with what you said, Watkins. That Nick Aldis, this man. And yo, hold up. Before we move in, this is a great transition segue for this conversation. Who are the people that came in? We have Street Profits and DIY, but who out of all four of them came to help in and hold this motherfucking title that was not yours, Mr. Campion?
Oh yeah, Ciampa got the title and gave it to Cody.
yeah, I noticed that.
And again,
See,
like
that's another thing you gotta like consider in the future. Make that man heel again. And I know I'm not the only one that
Yes.
said this, but this man in NXT, especially when he was feuding with Johnny Gargano, he was a menace. He did the most fucked up shit that you could imagine. Like he was even coming out with no entrance music, and you just heard pure boos. It's almost like if Adam Pearce allowed Don to come out with no music, and all you heard was boos. That's pretty much what happened. Ciampa came out, no music, boos, just walked down casually, ignored it, did his thing. That would honestly be a perfect feud if it happened. Just throwing that out there with with Vash bringing that up.
Yeah, but like part of that too is the fact that DIY was pushed so well in NXT back then.
Yeah.
Like they were a top tag team, and then when they kind of went their separate ways too, they were top guys in the company. Like people gave a shit about them, you know?
Yeah.
Like gosh, I mean, Adam Cole versus Johnny Gargano for the title. Johnny Gargano versus Andrade.
Oh yeah.
That was a freaking 5-star match from good old Davey Boy Smith, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, those
Yeah.
5-star points
think.
are huge. They're important to
I
the.
think so.
You know, they're important to the audience, to the people in the in the IWC.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I'm not gonna get into old Meltzer stuff right now, but anyways, so yeah, one match that probably won't be a 5-star classic is this Bloodline versus DIY and the Street Profits. They were our main event tonight, which this was a fun match, lot of action, a lot of like hard hitting stuff too, especially at the beginning where like Street Profits and DIY did not want to waste any time. They were, as the Street Profits would say, they were ready for the smoke.
I almost thought at
Love it.
first, because I wasn't paying attention to like if the match had any stipulations. I almost thought when they like started like wailing at each other in the ring, I almost thought it was like a street fight.
Oh, that would have
But
been nice.
they should have honestly done that, to be honest.
They should have. But I like too how like before the match too, we had Byron giving them an interview in the back, like the face team of DIY and Street Profits, and he threw in there like he threw the little wrinkle, hey look, if your team does beat the Bloodline, whoever gets the pin kind of has the forward momentum to challenge for the tag titles. Does that put a strain on the teamwork for tonight? Like, does that make you guys not be on the same page and everything? It's like DIY they were kind of a little more, I guess, a little bit more like Vash, where they were more optimistic with the team and all that, and like winning and everything. But like Street Profits and even Angelo Dawkins, like changing the tone of his voice, being like, you know what? Look, man, we're gonna team with you, but we want the smoke. Again, to quote them, like they want the titles, and they made a good point too, saying, hey, we've been dealing with the Bloodline for the past 4 years. You guys just got up to the main roster, and you're just now dealing with them. Like, step aside. We have tons of unfinished business with them. But I at least wanted to point that out because, like, this was a good just kind of wrinkle with this story for tonight. Oh, man. But
I want to say I 100% agree with Angelo Dawkins. Sorry, I was distracted with I was just seeing the 10-second match for Giovanni Vinci that you saw on my timeline. Like, damn, he was literally taking off his jacket. But we'll talk about that in a bit.
Oh yeah.
It was hilarious when Angelo Dawkins, not hilarious in a funny way, but hilarious the transitional tone of how each of these persons were, given a little quota, acting, the monologue in what they need to do. This man, Angelo Dawkins, was my favorite out of this promo backstage. He let his tone, his action speak for him. He delivered. And by the way he carries himself with that jacket, he reminds me so much of that jacket of Goldie Roger or like Blackbeard. Like that jacket is it really works on him so well. But just for him to change his tone, like, yo, we get it that y'all new here, you want to smoke with them and everything, but we've been dealing with the Bloodline for the past couple of years, so I don't know what you're doing here, but we are gonna take the W. We're gonna work together and lay down the Smackdown, but we want to smoke. We're gonna take this W. So I really love it, and I'm happy that he didn't get the pin, because him doing all this talking and everything, and I'm glad he didn't get the pin. Montez Ford got it, even though that hurt my soul, even though I wrote it in the Smackdown chat like, yo, so guys, so this is my theory, so this was gonna happen, and it didn't. I was like, damn. I thought it was gonna be Tangaloa the GOAT, but nah, it wasn't him. It was Solo, even though the way Solo did that shit wasn't anybody else that triggered his memory. So if anybody played Mortal Kombat, and when you defeat the opponent, that was Montez Ford. Jacob Fatu literally defeated the opponent. Montez Ford, he was out. But then once you hear the health bar go down, KO, and then you hear, now finish it. That's what Jacob Fatu passed to Solo. He passed it to Solo. You can finish it by doing 2 more Samoan spikes, and then you can pin him. That's what he did. Montez Ford was already knocked down. He made it believable and everything. He sold it very well. And then got hit with 2 more Samoan spikes that was not needed. I'm like, okay, cool. You gotta do the extra moves to show that your enforcer did the work, but you're taking the credit. That's hilarious. So I just wanted to add that if anybody noticed that, it felt like a Mortal Kombat type of moveset, like, now finish it. Bah, bah, bah. 1, 2, 3. And Angelo Dawkins, really dope. Those are my 2 highlights, I'll call it, out of the match, out of the backstage, with Solo taking the full credit of finish it, and Angelo Dawkins just sounding with the very demure, very smart.
I'm gonna come up there to New York for you using that word.
I'm sorry. I'll blame the meme, and I'll blame Bianca. I'll blame Bianca and
oh my gosh, Bianca, I swear.
And Naomi for doing this to me in the meme. That's all I'm gonna give credit to. I have to.
Oh my god.
It was a setup by myself.
Just because look, Solo just loves to thumb people. All right.
Yeah.
He just wants to thumb people all day, every day. And now that he has Jacob Fatu with him, Jacob can just, ease them into the thumbing, But I guess for me, a couple highlights for this. There was the part where Ciampa goes for the hot tag, and I guess he tagged both Gargano and Dawkins.
I love that.
So they both did the hot tag spot. That was kind of cool. That was pretty neat. But also, again, like, I got to talk about our mascot of the podcast. And yes, I am dubbing him the mascot of our podcast. Freaking Jacob Fatu just getting into the ring. I forgot who he grabbed, but it was just one of his own teammates. He just grabbed them, dragged them to the corner, and then tagged himself in. I'm like, yes, that's how you get shit done. And then that's what he did. He just went on a tear after that. Again,
the pop-up Samoan drop.
Oh, dude, it is so beautiful. It's like the way his body like spikes.
You ever see him like actually do it, like full on throw someone in the air?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I wish he would do that more, like the throwing in the air part of it. But it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's so good. But what about you, Drop? What were some takeaways that you had from this match?
I would honestly probably have to say Jacob Fatu, because just him in general, it's just always nice to see him in the ring, and I'm really glad that in the future there's going to be a lot of exciting matchups to see with him. But I think like one thing in particular that we haven't brought up yet that I really did like was the commentating throughout this match, because one of the things that I love that Michael Cole does is he talks about the accolades that a lot of these people do. And before you weren't really able to say these kinds of things like on commentating. It's just strictly WWE. But he was talking about the kind of accolades that Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, and he was mentioning their tag name, the Gorillas of Gorillas of Destiny, and they were talking about their accolades and in New Japan, which was really nice. Talk about how they were IWP tag champions. And it's just nice to see that brought up, because people that don't know about that are like, oh, okay, they had some success somewhere else, they had a good run with those titles over there. Okay, I'm getting more insight on these guys. It's always a nice thing to see. So that's definitely something that I took in here, because it just feels strange just hearing that now, because just growing up watching WWE, I never heard that much. But now you can actually like hear stuff like that. Like I'm definitely expecting, just using this as an example real quick, when Julia's being featured more on NXT, I'm expecting like Vic Joseph and Booker T to talk about like, her and Stardom and her and Marigold, and bring up things that happened there. And I just like how they're doing that with like a lot of wrestlers, because when a lot of people get invested in these people, especially when it comes to like Bloodline, a lot of people want to know, everything about these guys. Like when Jacob Fatu gets pushed far in the future, and then they talk about his accomplishments in like other companies, it's just going to be really nice to get people just more into that. And honestly, like what I'm really wondering what's going to come out of this is like the whole tag title situation. Because if I'm being perfectly honest, at this very moment, it's just put on them for props. Just like kind of how it is with Finn Balor and JD McDonough on Raw. They just have it for like a prop item just for them to look legit. So I'm kind of wondering like what's going on with this like whole tag title situation. Like is somebody else going to come up? Are they going to have a match with them and drop the titles to them, wherever? I mean, the theory in my mind, realistically, just looking at how everything's being showcased so far, and especially just looking to the future, is I'm sort of feeling you're going to be getting like a Jimmy and Jay versus Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa match in the future, just because you're going to have like Solo and Roman beefing, and then obviously you're going to have Roman's guys against Solo's guys. So that's just something I see happening.
See,
but I'm always wondering about like that.
I'm glad you put the Usos against the Tamas, because then if we're correct in like the whole Sami Zayn joining in with them, have him face Jacob Fatu. Give me that match.
Oh, Sami Zayn versus Jacob Fatu would be amazing. That match would be that match would be spectacular. That match would be cooking all day, all night.
Oh yeah, that'd be a great match.
Want to talk about injecting it into my veins? Oh, there are things that I can't say on this show that I would love to say about what that would do.
Just wait for the day when Jacob Fatu wrestles Gunther.
Oh God, don't tease me with a good time. Don't tease me with a good time like that. Like, holy crap! But yeah, I mean, also, Montez Ford doesn't often pull out that 450 splash, does he?
He does it, I think, once in a blue. I remember him doing it before, but I don't think it's very consistent. But I think since Ricochet officially left, I think he took reins of that move.
He has to now.
Exactly, because if anybody, this is a good comparison relation towards another interview that Chris released, I think, last week with Damian Priest. For anybody that heard the AniMa podcast, we spoke one of the news coverage that came from them about Marvel. Go check that out conversation. But for this is Chris asks Damian, what did it tell you about your move that you had to take out that was very similar to the Crossroads when Cody Rhodes came back? You had to take out that move from your arsenal. How would it go? And then it's like exactly like you said. They didn't really say it like that, but you know they said like, hey.
Yeah.
And Cody came up to me. He said, "Yo, you didn't have to." But I love Damien's response. He said, "If I continue doing that move, a lot of people will compare it to Cody or say, oh, that reminds me of Cody." I don't need people to say that. I want people to know that I remind them of me. And I love that answer.
Mm-hmm.
So to relate that to this, Montez Ford, he literally said, all right, the other guy that looks like me but lighter and do and do the big exact moves. He does the same jumping. We have similar arsenals. He's not here no more. He's on a Wednesday show. You know what?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna start doing that move again now. You know what? I got my thing. I'm gonna do my 450.
Yeah.
So to me, it works out. This man needs that push. Everyone I see, IG wrestling or Threads. I didn't know Threads had a fucking community of wrestling. That shit shocks the shit out of me. I just found out last week. Yeah, there's a community on IG about wrestling. So that's how the shit threw me out. They want Montez Ford to be pushed too. So just saying that, Triple H, we heard you already are lurking, reading, tweeting, seeing. Get this man that push. They might not get a scream out or a big that pop for heel, but they will get that love. So we know it no matter what.
Yeah.
They will get that push. So like Drop said earlier, is a tag team going to be coming up? They want the tag titles, give it to them. Because this team doesn't need it. I didn't even see them come out with it earlier when they started the show. So I'm like, where the fuck are these titles? Where they're at?
Yeah. I do want to shout out the Bloodline Juniors entrance. This man Tamatanga, he's on some sort of extracurricular activity or something. Like he's just out there, just everywhere. I'm like, dude, Solo's music sucks. Why are you doing that? Nah, it doesn't suck. That's just a meme. But anyways. So Bloodline are up on top as they kind of should be. Like, again, it would have been nice for, DIY or Street Profits to get a win, but I think going into next week, especially for Solo to be like end the night on top, probably something you should have done, which, good booking on your decision tonight. We'll get into some other questionable booking here in a second, but I think that basically takes care of our main event scene for the evening. So let's go ahead and transition wonderfully and beautifully to our mid-card stories, and we're going to start off with two wonderfully and beautifully young ladies. We have Bayley taking on Tiffany Stratton. So this is basically set up because Tiffany Stratton kept getting in Bayley's way, mainly during SummerSlam, Bayley losing the title and all that. And then last week, Bayley stopping Tiffany from possibly cashing in.
Yeah.
We don't know if she actually was or not, but hey, you know what? Before we get into like the actual match itself, with this backstage segment, I do want to say I love how Pretty Deadly are kind of becoming Tiffany Stratton's like little henchman kind of thing.
It is, and I love how Nia is noticing it.
They just kind of hang out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Nia knows it. I'm like, hold up.
I like it a lot.
I'm the queen. Why are you getting henchmen? I'm the one that should be getting my two little puppies. But why does it seem like you are? And I love how, why is Tiffany getting her own princess room, her own makeup room, her own private room? I find it a little interesting how slowly that Tiffany is sounding more fake. She's like, when even Nia, and I love when the good heels or the baby faces are getting this, hey, Tiffy, I have a question. I've been hearing from the locker room that you could have cashed on me last week. What's going on with that? And I love how she's like, Tiffany's like, no, girl, what you talking about? I was not doing none of that.
Girl, don't be
Definitely give her the
stupid.
reasons
Right?
to.
Like, no, I would never do that to
Yeah,
you. What you
exactly.
mean?
Like, come on, girl. Hey, you're gonna have my back, right? I had your back
Oh yeah, she
two
definitely did.
times
Huh?
already.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
she definitely helped her
Yeah,
Because
so
it's like,
well.
And that's the thing I do like about this, like whole Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax situation is I like how on both shows the main titles for the girls are actually getting stories because we never really saw this back then. It was always like random
mm-hmm.
stuff thrown together, match here, match there. That's it, over and done with. But at least there's actually a story being told here. We don't need to say anything about Liv and Rhea because we know that,
Right.
and we also talk about it on Monday every single time. So just check out our thoughts on here. But when it comes to Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax, the whole story behind that is trust. When it comes to
Mm-hmm.
Nia Jax and Tiffany, like I hear myself.
Oh, sorry.
Uh,
My, I'm sorry. My headphone was
no,
too
it's,
close to it. My apologies.
no, it's all right. But like I was saying, when it comes to Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax, it has that whole trust factor. And we
Mm-hmm.
see throughout each of these episodes of SmackDown, ever since Tiffany became Miss Money in the Bank, that at first, Nia didn't really pay too much attention to it. But as weeks
Yeah.
passed on and Tiffany having her moments running in there and wanting to cash in, which she has every right to, so you can't really get mad to her. You really can't get mad at her because if Nia was in that situation, I'm pretty sure she would have done the exact same
120%.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all of us would. I mean, if we have like a golden
Oh, yeah.
ticket to any title we want, why wouldn't we put ourselves in a situation where you have the champion down, they can't really compete, they're just really weak? Who wouldn't take an opportunity like that? So I like how there's a
Mm-hmm.
story being told here, and especially what we saw tonight, because you have the whole thing being played off like Vash was speaking about, like, okay, I had your back, your back last week. Do you have mine? And we saw Nia Jax coming out there, and in a way, she did have Tiffany's back, but at the same time, the way that the story was being portrayed to us, it went in a different way where it's showing
Yeah.
us as viewers that she cost Tiffany that match against Bailey. So right
Mm-hmm.
there, that might start to build some tension between her and Tiffany, where Tiffany at first, unlike Nia, didn't really have any suspicion. But now Tiffany is gonna start having that tension being built up with her little by little, and this was the beginning stages of it, where she's gonna be like, well, I almost had this match but then, you ended up taking that away with me, or like, something along the lines of that. It's not just like a little small speck. Obviously it'll turn into bigger
Mm-hmm.
specks later on, but I like how there's a story being told here. And it's also starting to make me think as like each week passes by, and I even talked about it with Billy today at work. Me and him are talking about Tiffany Stratton's like role when it comes to the end result of this feud, like exactly where she would be. And to me, and especially looking at how Nia Jax is being portrayed on television, I don't really see this being a heel turn if Tiffany Stratton does turn on Nia Jax, because Nia's a
Yeah.
heel anyway, and she's doing all of these things to Tiffany, calling her out on shit that she's not doing or whatever. And that's pretty much just her sabotaging the whole entire friendship that they had between them. And this is just a story of a kid standing up to its bully. So in a way, to me, it makes it seem like they're planning on doing some sort of Tiffany Stratton face turn in the future, where she
Mm-hmm.
eventually turns on Nia Jax and then she gets that title, and then I'm betting. I'm not gonna say I'm betting money on this, but I feel pretty confident that she might end up walking into WrestleMania with this title.
Yeah. And like, okay, so a couple takeaways from what you were saying. First of all, I like how you compare or like took notice for how Nia Jax was treating Tiffany before all this, because she was almost kind of treating her like, "Oh, that's cute. You're cute. You're a cute little puppy dog." And it's just like, "Oh,
Yeah,
now you won Money in the Bank. Well, that's fine. I've got my world title shot, so
yeah,
it's fine. It's whatever." And now that Nia has it, she's like, "Oh." hey, don't do the thing. Don't cash in. Like, I like how the dynamics kind of change too, and I like too
Yeah.
how like you mentioned this whole face turn with Tiffany because I feel like they're testing the waters with her interactions with Chelsea Green. Because like
Yeah.
Chelsea Green, she's a heel, obviously, but it's like
Mhm.
they're kind of testing it where like the way Tiffany has been talking to Chelsea, talking about Chelsea, like in a way, it's kind of been like a mean girl, but it's been like the energy has been using for good. So it's like, okay, you're a mean girl on the side of justice. It's almost like when a Karen, like let's say you work for a Karen, like a Karen is your boss
Mhm.
and she has like super duper Karen powers, like I want to speak to your manager kind of thing, but she does that for the people that you despise from your work. Like she's always the
Yeah.
Karen towards those people, and she like defends you as the Karen. It's just like, you know what, you go, Karen. You use your Karen superpowers to talk to those managers and get us exactly what we need. Like, in a way, that's kind of what Tiffany Stratton's been doing with her mean girl attitude, is at least towards Chelsea Green. But again, I think we're still testing the waters with it, and yeah, I'm kind of in agreement with you. Like when she does cash in on Naya, it's probably gonna lead to a face turn
Mhm.
with her. Um, but yeah, we'll just have to wait and see with that. But Vash,
Hi.
let's move on to the actual match here because we had Bailey taking on Tiffany Stratton again. Bailey looking pretty good too. Like
Oh yeah.
Mm.
she's looking in, I want to say, better shape than she did at WrestleMania.
Mm.
Um,
Well,
so I don't know.
Girl
Yeah.
has been putting the work. Billy
Yeah.
and Tiffany has shown a great reveal of how balanced she is for each other. I love how Corey Graves continues saying that she's the first Grand Slam Bailey is in the women division, so it's just great to see and great to hear. Question: what's considered Grand Slam right now in the woman division? It's just having the main roster title of Raw or SmackDown
Yeah.
So
and have the
it's everything.
NXT.
And
Yeah.
NXT. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the
And
NXT,
tag titles. Yeah.
currently the next NXT North American title don't count right now, right, for her because it just got introduced this year.
Not for her.
Yeah, it doesn't count. Like mainly what counts
Yeah.
is like if we're talking about Bailey specifically,
Yeah.
we're talking about her winning a main roster title,
Uh-huh.
her run with the NXT title when she was in NXT, her winning the Royal Rumble, her winning Money in the Bank. That's what factors in with that. Also with her and Sasha being tag team champions all those years ago, that's what factored her into being a world champion. I
If
mean
I'm correct,
Grand Slam champion.
was Bailey
And she won
a
that
Divas,
Elimination
right?
Chamber match with
Was Bailey a
Sasha.
Divas
Oh yeah,
winner?
oh yeah,
No.
that is.
No, she
No,
didn't win the Divas title because
no,
that
that
was
wasn't her.
because Charlotte was the last one to hold that.
Yeah,
because when
Charlotte
they
was the last one to hold
transitioned-
that.
Yeah, because they transitioned to the women's title, which then became the Raw women's title because it was red on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And then that became
Um,
the world title right now from Raw.
Yeah. No, that is now the WWE women's one.
Yes, because the wrestlers that were holding the title
Yes.
swapped into the show. So the SmackDown title went to
Yeah.
Raw, and then that became the world title, and then the Raw title went to
Yeah.
SmackDown, and that became the WWE. Yes, too tired. That was so confusing.
Yeah.
Where it was red and blue in a different show. I remember that. I was so confusing. But
Like it's fine. It's fine.
the match continued to be amazing. Bailey and Tiffany Cook. I want to mention one thing about the backstage and everything about the Mean Girls. Is it me or does it like what's going on with Tiffany and Nia reminds me of some high school type of drama where it's
What?
always the popular girl
Oh yeah.
and you have the Mean Girls type of vibe. Like for anybody that have not seen the Mean Girls the movie, you definitely experienced it in
Go
high
watch it.
school.
Go watch it.
Yeah, go
Oh,
watch
yeah.
it. If you didn't experience the movie, you probably experienced it in life. The actual concept of being girls in real life, you just probably never notice it. But if you have had any type of popular friends, that's what Tiffany Stratton reminds me of. And she does it so well. Her role is fantastic for what she does.
Mm-hmm.
For the match itself, I love how uh, Tiffany always goes above and beyond in the match. She sells it very well, and she gives the match entertaining chops. She even dropped, I think, a drop kick, I believe, by the apron, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna make mention of this because like I hope Bailey's okay because she kind of took a few nasty hits, especially when you slow down that drop kick that Tiffany Stratton did.
Oh yeah,
Because
I
like
saw that.
you see yeah,
Yeah,
like
that's the kind of stuff
she
people wanted
kicked
with
Bailey's
Julia,
head.
huh? Yeah.
Yeah, oh, look at how it all ties back. You
Yeah.
see how you fickle people, you. But it was like that and like the Alabama Slam. It's like because I kind of saw like Bailey's head. I don't want to say it whiplashed, but like it was kind of stiff, But
Oh yes,
so hopefully
I
Bailey's
believe
all right with
I
it. But
believe so because I also did notice that with the Alabama slam.
mhm.
I noticed that when she did a whiplash, I'm like, was that played off or was that actually that she looked hurt? Hopefully she's alright, but
Yeah.
I definitely did notice that as well.
And also like I saw a tweet or two about this too after the match
Mm,
because a lot of people don't like Bailey's new finisher, that the Rose Plan or whatever.
mm.
And there was one tweet I saw that said that Tiffany took the Rose Plan probably the best, and this was like the best that this finisher has looked.
Yes, I
So
agree.
kind of want to open the question. Yeah, how
Oh,
do you guys
I need
feel?
to.
I guess
I'm gonna go
yeah.
look it up actually.
The roast
Yeah,
play
go ahead.
look
Vash, what did you think?
the roast play really looked well to me. It was a good finisher, and I
Mhm.
do agree with what you said, Watkins. That Tiffany played her off very well. They coordinated much better than the previous matches that like Bailey
Mhm.
tried to do the finisher for the
Oh
moveset.
yeah.
I didn't even notice it before, but now it's
Yeah.
practically probably practice and error trying to get it right, and now it looks a lot better, and it showed practice.
Yeah.
It does look really good. I actually did some
Mhm.
research on Bailey like a couple months ago. She actually
Okay.
has been using the rose plant for quite some time, even before she became a heel.
Mhm.
Because I was looking at her early stages of her career when she wasn't a part of WWE and she was starting off,
Oh, okay.
and it was actually one of the moves that she used. She used it. The way that she executed it was a little bit different, but
Mhm.
all in all, it was still like portrayed the exact same way it was on television. Because I thought it was just a
Yeah.
thing that she had when she was a heel, but I guess it's been around forever. But she didn't really use it when she was like a face or Well, I mean, for the most part of her like WWE run, she didn't really use it at first until
Mhm.
that character change. But I just went
Yeah.
over it right now. It was definitely executed very well. I mean, Tiffany's also been a great seller, just like how Chelsea Green has been a great
Oh, yeah.
seller as well. That's why I got to give credit to a lot of people, because selling is like a big point when it comes to a lot of these moves being executed, because especially a certain other fellow that we will be talking about in our two segments that I'll give some credit to him as well when it comes to his selling.
Mhm.
But selling is just a big factor, because it's like when you get hit with a choke slam, or you get hit with like just like the big move that ends the match. It just shows like, okay, this move's legit. Nobody should kick out of this. Look at the
Mhm.
impact that it had on that person. And it was done very well, because when she executed that rose plant on Tiffany, it's almost like she just knocked her out cold. No more continuing the match. It's just, okay, everything's over and
Yeah.
done with. I knocked out Tiffany. I could get my victory and move on.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's a very important part of just professional wrestling. Like, because that's the thing. Both competitors, or if there's multiple competitors, but like both competitors are in there to protect each other from all of
Yep.
this.
Oh yeah.
And even when you are protecting each other from that, you still got to make it look realistic. And that's why, like,
Yeah.
some of the best sellers in the business, like, I always think of Dolph Ziggler, for example,
Oh, he was
as
amazing.
being one of those top sellers in the business.
Oh yeah.
Like,
The
you got to make your opponent look strong,
the current
whether
one,
it's a finishing move or even just a simple suplex.
I said the current person that's top seller is in two segments. Like Drop said, that I'm gonna bring him up because he's been the top seller for me
Yeah.
so far.
of course. But I'm assuming all this is going to lead to maybe a Bad Blood rematch with Bailey
That's what I'm
and Nia.
thinking.
Yeah, maybe another tease. If not,
Honestly,
cash in.
yeah, because I did not. Now that you bring that up, I can honestly see that turning into like the next chapter of the
Mhm.
Tiffany and Nia story. Because I feel like we are probably getting another match between Bailey and Nia because technically Bailey is owed a rematch because usually when you lose the title, you
Mhm.
always get like that one opportunity to get it back, and Bailey hasn't had that opportunity yet. And in a way, it's kind of like what we saw with like Roman. Whenever people were going up against Roman, okay, you took out Solo, you took out Jimmy, now you get me. Took out Tiffany,
Yeah.
now you get me. So I definitely see that being a match on Bad Blood. I mean, why not? I mean, it's would be nice to have a women's title match on there. I mean, we didn't get one at Bash in Berlin. I mean, the last time we really got one was at like SummerSlam.
Yeah.
So it would be
Mhm.
nice to, get something like that involved, add Tiffany, add Nia and Bailey there, and then you'll have Liv and Rhea there. So it makes perfect sense to me. I can definitely see that happening.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be epic and all that. So, all right. Yeah, that was, I mean, basically that the women's title picture in a nutshell for all you ladies and
Miss
gentlemen. And go
Mr.
ahead.
Worldwide.
Mr. Three, Mr.
Oh, yes.
305.
Oh,
Mm,
Mr. 305, Mr.
yeah.
Pitbull himself is finally here. That's right. We're moving from one match to another. This one, we're probably going to talk about way longer than the match actually was. We had Giovanni Vinci making his re-debut as Giovanni Vinci, facing off
Mm-hmm.
against Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews getting the jobber entrance, but he was not the jobber tonight. Nah, nah.
No.
Nah, nah.
It was old Giovanni Vinci, and there's there's two mindsets with all this.
Mm,
But I think it's part of the plan. But I'm in okay. I'm basically in the wait and see process with it because I was thinking about this after our little talk in our group chat and all that. Like I don't have a lot of stock with Giovanni Vinci, so I think that's why I'm more just like about this and kind of
mm-hmm.
more just fine with waiting and seeing what happens because like that's the thing if like again like if 2 weeks from now we're still getting something like this and it doesn't feel like it's going anywhere, I might have some more issues with it, but like I think most of it has to do with my own investment in Giovanni Vinci. Nothing,
Yeah.
not saying that he's bad or anything. Like, the guy is solid in the ring. It's just I
Mm,
don't really care that much about him, you
mm-hmm.
know. But, however, this tonight may be part of the plan to make me care about it because like I decided to go through Twitter and see like all the stuff that was being said about all this, and it's like it was a decent divide of like 80% that just like despised all this, and then the 20% that were just like not necessarily like me, but like more on the positive side. So I guess more like Vash is being optimistic and all that with his
Yeah,
damn
we're
optimism.
gonna have a shirt coming up for that too. It's gonna be called. Well,
Yeah.
you know how they have those shirts. They have those shirts saying "I'm a Paul Heyman guy." You're gonna have
An
Bash wearing a
optimistic
shirt
guy.
saying I'm an optimistic guy."
He has to be
Yep,
super
100%.
buff and in a singlet.
Hmm.
I'm
Oh man.
optimistic. You gotta
But
believe.
I think that's just my approach with this right now. It's just like it's mainly my investment
Yeah,
level, which could change now because of all this. And
yeah,
he did have a backstage interview on this was on Twitter. I saw too.
yeah,
Vinci did saying like, oh, like he was complaining about it, being like, oh, the ref shouldn't have started the match because I wasn't ready. Like we're doing that kind of angle with it. So again, like I don't really have a problem with it, but again, that's just my own investment with it. So I'm gonna let you guys kind of get after it. So go.
Yeah.
Vash, I haven't heard from you in a while. How'd you feel about this whole Giovanni Vinci burial? The burial.
Look, I
Yep,
will
the
tell you this. It's hilarious in the most funnest way because for the weeks to past weeks, he's been promoted that Mr. Italiano, Mr. Vinci, Mr. 305, Mr. Pippo, Mr. Johnny Sims, all these type of characters that our boy is looking like. And he didn't actually
took
succeed.
inspiration from.
Yeah, and like, hey,
Yep.
you couldn't even take off the shirt. I mean, your jacket off, cause it got tight or whatever. And Apollo just did a 1, 2, 3 pin count, turnover. Like what? That's insane. But the match itself, nothing fucking happened. The match, like Apollo, literally just took the match himself and said,
Yeah,
like,
there's a roll up.
like I already added a check pin. Next, he could go for the fight or whatever against whoever else. But Vinci, am I mad about you? No, because like Watkins, I don't give a fuck about you. Do I care if you're on this roster and things could come up? Yes, because this could add fuel to the fire.
Yeah, I wouldn't go as far as saying I don't give a fuck, but it's just the investment level. Also,
Yeah.
this motherfucker got a kiss from a random fan, so should have been
Yeah.
me, but that's besides the point.
We're gonna have the
Gotta
merch for
keep
that
meat
too.
going. Yeah, exactly. Ah, man. But Drop, I know you had a few words about this.
Yeah.
Rent
This
away.
little.
Be
I'm
angry.
I'm just gonna call it a segment because it really wasn't a match.
No,
It was
it
a
really
segment.
wasn't. Yeah.
But yeah, so I know you shared a lot of that 80% sentiment with Giovanni Vinci, and I'm sure you also do because and sorry, I'll let you get to it in just a second because I remember seeing too apparently Apollo kept losing to Giovanni Vinci on NXT, so I guess that was part of a thing too that people were upset about. But yes, go let us.
So
Let the audience know your grievances.
So when it comes to this whole Giovanni situation, pretty much when they do a lot of these vignettes and stuff, it's because they want to build up these characters, and especially since we're in a new regime, we want to make sure that these wrestlers are being pushed properly. I mean, looking at Andrade from the past regime compared to now, he's being booked a lot better. I mean, a lot of people actually care about him now, especially with what's going on between him and Carmelo, which we'll touch on later. So what I'm hoping with this, which to be perfectly honest, I never really understood why they split Imperium to begin with, because I thought they were just a great tag team, and I mean, you definitely need it. I mean, I can only imagine, Gunther as world champion and Ludwig and Giovanni with the tag titles. I mean, that would look absolutely fabulous. But that's besides the point. But it's with Giovanni, what I was expecting out of this is I just wanted to, and keep in mind though, this is the early stages, so we don't really know what's going on. But with Giovanni, having this repackaging of his character, the only reason why I'm a little worried about this is because when it comes to you getting a second chance, and this goes the same way sometimes, even when you are part of the main roster for the very first time, and I'll use a certain girl in particular we haven't seen on Raw as an example to elaborate to what I'm talking about. But when it comes to making a first impression on the roster, it's something that you gotta do right away so people really mess with you when you come out. We're like, oh my god, Chelsea Green's out here, I'm super excited to see her. So it's when you have somebody like Giovanni, you got to make that good first impression when it comes to that second chance. Okay, the first chance, I didn't really get where I needed to be. This is my second chance. I got to see where I go. But sometimes when it comes to that, it might be too late. People stop caring. They just want to move on to something else and see what else is going on within the show. And I'm just hoping that he gets booked properly because he's a very good wrestler. I mean, if you really wanted to, based on what I've seen from Giovanni as a singles competitor in NXT, he could be apart. He can be at the top of the mid card, like what Mello and Andrade are doing. You could easily swap out either of those guys, and you could have matches that are like 2, 3, 4, 5 matches, just like Mello and Andrade are doing with Giovanni, because he's just that good of a wrestler. I mean, he does flips, he does like the things that you probably wouldn't even think of within the ring.
Yeah.
And I still recall like many months ago where he did like a very perfect moonsault. It was executed so perfectly when he was on top of the rope, going all the way down to his opponent. He knows what he's doing, and he knows how he wants to present himself. So I'm just mainly worried about, is the audience really going to care this time? Because based on how they were being portrayed before, when it came to Imperium, which were a dominant team in NXT, just like how the Creeds were, they started like losing their touch. Thankfully, Kaiser's fine now, but I'm just mainly hoping that Giovanni can find that step here. And I don't want it to be one of those situations like you spoke of earlier, where this is like a regular thing happening throughout the week. Because I'm expecting him and Apollo to have another match next week, because based on what that interview said, he was talking about, like you went over, about how he wants to, he's like, oh, you're playing dirty now? Okay, I see how it is. I'll play dirty too. So after I heard him say their interview, it started changing my thoughts on like, okay, maybe this might go somewhere, so I'll give it a chance. It's just that thing where it's like, you see a lot of these people that have untapped potential and unfortunately don't get utilized well, and then they just end up going nowhere, and then people just completely forget about them. I mean, when's the last time we saw what's her face on Raw? Forgot her name.
Oh, was it? It's not Kalani Jordan. It's fucking shoot. See that right there. Yeah. We can't even remember her name. Like
she pretty much has like that whole gimmick where she's like a lawyer. You guys probably know who I'm referring to. But it's like she hasn't been shown ever since then, and it's kind of like, if you don't have a plan for her, why are you bringing her up on the main roster? You might as well just send her back to NXT and have her do her thing over there. That I'm just hoping it doesn't turn into something like that, because Apollo Crews suffered this exact fate, which is actually kind of pretty interesting why they're paired together to begin with, because he had a run on the main roster, keep getting pushed further and further down the line, had to go to NXT to rebrand himself, came back, didn't really get that much TV, but now he's getting more time, especially what's going on between him and Baron Corbin. So I'm hoping this turns into a situation that benefits the both of them. I mean, if you want to do a situation similar to how you're doing with Mello and Andrade and build them both together to get them both over, then I would definitely recommend doing something like that. If that's the direction they're going down, that I'm completely okay with it. Yeah. Because again, those are guys that could really go. I mean, just looking at this match on paper, Giovanni Vinci versus Apollo Crews, that easily, given time, could have been match of the night. And that's what I was expecting, just based on what I've seen from both of them separately. And I want other people to feel that way too. That was my mainly issue with it at first, but I'll see where things go, especially hearing that shift in character and that interview he had over the show. So it gives me a little hope, but if it is a regular pattern where it's like he has that confidence, but Apollo keeps nailing him down, then, you know, I'm just not going to care.
Yeah, and just kind of like, again, to kind of pull more for being like, you know, devil's avocado and all that. I feel like this is also kind of part of the overall like picture or plan with it, because like just seeing, you know, with lack of a better word, seeing the outrage, you know, online and all that. I feel like this is going to be getting people to care about Giovanni Vinci, because like you'll get the people that are like saying, oh, well, he's really good. Like you were saying, you know, oh, he could be having, you know, these best of 5 series with this and this person. But like, then there'll be the people that would be like, okay, well, I didn't know Giovanni Vinci like that. How can I see it? And then like they could go back, they could watch what it's all about. And like that adds just that little bit more investment too in your star, because it's like, okay, it's just all the word of mouth, you know.
Yeah.
But like, I also want to point out too, like with because another character on just on SmackDown who has somewhat of a similar gimmick, at least with like the whole like, oh, I wasn't ready kind of thing, or like a similar stick to that, is Chelsea Green. And
Mhm.
if you look at when she came back to the company, her first night was on during the Royal Rumble. Like she was a surprise entrant in
yeah.
the Royal Rumble. And she only lasted like a couple seconds in the Royal Rumble and she
Mm.
was thrown out. So it's like, and now look where she's at, just a couple years later. I mean, she's still kind of a comedy act, but like, I mean, you just heard us talk, chat, you just heard us talk about Chelsea Green and her selling earlier, and we'll talk more about her here in a little bit too, with her character and all that. But it's like the company trusts her enough to put her with a newcomer like Julia, and being like the first person for Julia to get physical with. So that at least says something about Chelsea Green's status, and I'm hoping that kind of goes to Giovanni Vinci because like I I'm keen to believe you and being like, okay, yeah, he's because again, he's solid in the ring from what I've seen. But like if he's capable of like having these matches like, Carmelo and Andrade, for example, then yeah, I would love to see more of that. And, that in turn makes me want to be invested, like we always talk about, oh, make me want to watch your show, make me feel like I
Mhm.
need to watch your show.
Mhm.
This is a hook right here. This is the hook for especially re-debuting somebody, being like, okay, this is something that I want to see. I want to see him succeed. Just like how badly we want to see freaking Jacob Fatu versus Cody Rhodes. Like
Mhm.
that was blue balling us right there. And yet
Mhm.
we didn't get it. I mean, and yeah, so I feel like it's all part of the design, but in the moment and all that, it sucks. Like I get that aspect though. It's like, in the moment, this is bull poo, all that stuff. But it's like I've at least with this regime, like if we still had Vince and all that,
Oh
I'd be in
boy.
the same boat. I'd be like livid as well. I'd be like, look, this guy's awesome. Why are you doing this, buddy? But like at least with Triple H, I have a little bit more faith in him,
Oh yeah.
So but yeah, I see both sides. I'm leaning more towards waiting and seeing and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Vash, did you have anything to add with all of that?
Apollo Cruz, you're smart as hell. Yo, I'm gonna say it straight up. Not my fault. The ref literally
Yeah.
said dun dun dun. He literally said, "Oh, the guy's still
Yeah.
grabbing his jacket, taking it off, roll him over. 1, 2,
Yeah.
3." To me, that's just smart as hell.
Mhm.
Like I literally has you. You are a walking marketing machine. That's what Ramana
Mhm.
does. He knows
Yeah.
how to march. He knows how to market. He's very smart with that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Well, from one smart guy in Apollo Crews to another smart guy in Kevin Owens. That's
Mm.
right. We had an impromptu triple threat match between Kevin Owens, Grayson Waller, and Austin Theory. This got started off by Kevin just being in the back looking at some hockey stuff, and Grayson Waller and Austin Theory still not being able to just leave Kevin Owens alone.
Oh
And
boy.
I think I think my favorite part about all of this is just that backstage segment with
Oh yeah.
KO being like, "You guys are idiots. No, wait, no, you're morons," and like putting their friendship on the line and testing it as well. But like also just taking that title from Grayson Waller, being like, "You don't deserve this. You don't get you don't get to rep the local sports team. Like, go away, get out of here." Um, I felt like this was gonna go. I thought we were actually gonna get a little bit more with the turn
Yeah.
for
Same.
Theory here,
'Cause-
and
yeah,
like,
'cause-
yeah,
Hmm.
go ahead.
Oh, no, all I was gonna say to that is like it always seems like they're like leaning more into it where they want to tell more story. It's almost like
Yeah.
you're reading a book where like you're about to flip the page, but then you go back. That's kind of how
Yeah.
it feels. It's like we're doing something with it, but then we're going back. we're doing something with it, but then we're
Mhm.
going back. Kind of like what we saw with like Cody when they were like opening up the show and you were start building tension there when it came to their relationship.
Yeah.
It just feels like we don't really know exactly where this is heading. And then that's like my whole issue with this, because it just keeps getting teased over and over and over again. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, are we gonna have some sort of result? And it almost feels like it's just everything's getting like that reset where it's almost like theory forgets like what happened with like what
Yeah.
happened in like the previous show, where it's like, I acted this way towards Grayson Waller, I spoke up for myself, and it's like, maybe we are falling apart. But then the next week it's like, oh, okay, we're perfectly fine, we're like talking all this shit, we're
Mhm.
doing this and that. It's like, okay, when's the payoff gonna happen? Like, why we keep doing this tease and then just starting all over again? And also just with the KO involvement, it's like, why does KO need to be factored into this all the time? Because
Yeah.
I personally want them to like, do something meaningful at KO instead of being like, okay, he had his match with Cody, let's throw him to the wolves and have Grayson Waller and Austin Theory feud with him again, which we've seen numerous times over and over
Yeah.
again. I'm like, okay, what's really going on here? Because to me, as the viewer, it's telling me that, okay, you don't really have a solid plan for KO. You don't really have a solid plan for Grayson Waller. In theory, you have an idea in mind, but you're not really building to it, because at least with like the Tiffany and Nia situation, there's actually a story being told and it's getting built throughout the week, even if it's
Yeah.
not like these super exciting moments like Jay's like, oh, I'm out too, and he super kicks Roman, building a story like that. But it's like those little crumbs. It's like you get those little pieces, but then they just disappear and they're non-existent. Like it just makes like it just makes the viewer confused, like, oh, what's going on here? It almost makes it feel like it's
Well,
filler where it doesn't really matter.
yeah, and it's really, honestly, it's kind of making Austin Theory look like an idiot.
It really
Like
is.
he, he's looking like the biggest idiot almost every single week. Like, yeah, there might be a week where like, oh, he got one up on you, Grayson Waller, but it's like it feels like those have been few and far between anymore. And it's just like kind of like what you were saying. It almost feels like it's a reset every week with them. But like they keep teasing a breakup. They keep teasing the whole like, oh, we're gonna be, assholes to each other and whatever. Like you keep teasing it, and it's like, earlier I said, okay, some things should cook, some things should simmer. But it's like we reached the point now, at least with like this whole Austin Theory, Grayson Waller thing. We reached,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
like
evaporated
yeah.
and it's gone.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, oh well, hold on, wait a minute, wait a minute. I still needed to add some few things. No, we can't be like, what are you doing? Just, I don't know. I wanted more. Like, and like this match too. Like, it was kind of a glorified handicap match,
Mm-hmm.
but again, like we got this some teases with it, but really not enough to justify like a match like this. And like
Yeah.
this was all just to set up another tag team match with Kevin Owens and a mystery opponent, which, gee, I wonder who's going to come out of nowhere and be Kevin's only friend in a tag team who's also on SmackDown. Like, on one hand, great. Orton's going to be back.
Huh.
If it's Stone Cold, I will eat my words, and I might even eat this hat if it is. Like, on
Yeah.
stream too. Like
But
I
it's
don't know, like yeah.
I don't know. It's just like really confusing what they're doing with this, because it's just like a rinse and repeat situation. It's almost like you're trying to
Yeah.
record a video. You say a few things, you mess up, you start it over again. You say a few things, you mess up, and I can relate to that because I've done that multiple times before. But it's almost like they don't
Mhm.
really have like a solid plan of what they want to do. It's almost like they start doing it, but then they don't do it, and I don't really know, because it's like you said, Austin Theory is looking like an idiot because he speaks. Because I think
Mhm.
last week was probably what got me really invested with the story, because I thought, okay, we're finally back on track again, because we had that whole tension being built with Cody, which is honestly something I kind of wish KO did. He did what Cody did. He actually spoke to Theory. He wanted to enlighten Theory about, you know, everything that's going on. I was kind of hoping KO did the same thing. And then you have other people throughout the locker room doing the same thing. If you did something like that, okay, you know, you're telling a story there. You're putting these thoughts in Theory's head. He's starting to catch on. But it's like, you know, what's really going on here? Because it's almost like you're wasting TV time. You're just like struggling with what you want to do. I mean, it's pretty simple, you know. You want to build a story. You want to have like the entirety of SmackDown actually be meaningful and not having, you know, pointless shit that doesn't really belong on there. You know, start working with something like this, because this could benefit both of them. So people could actually look at them and be like, oh my God, you know, Grayson Waller and Theory are on SmackDown tonight. You know, they're telling this really compelling story right now. I'm actually really excited to see whenever that pops up, instead of it being like, oh my God, it's Theory and Waller again. You know, what the hell is this? I just want to see that main event with Bloodline and DIY and the Profits, or I want to see Tiffany and Nia Jax, or I want to see, you know, the debut of Giovanni Vinci. Like, I honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, Giovanni Vinci, with what's currently going on with him after settling down and taking in everything that's going on, that's personally more compelling to me than this whole Theory and Waller story that's currently going on at this point. It's just really hard to like drag. It's really hard to like keeping people invested if you're not letting them know what's going on.
Agree.
Well, what it's kind of reminding me too of, and because this was the complaint I had with the Judgment Day story leading up to
Bash.
Shoot, what was at Bash at Berlin, where it's like it felt like we were getting the same thing every single week, but it was only there to kind of facilitate for the hype package before the match. Well, that, and like, you know, the video package that they do before the matches, because it's like, okay, now we have all this footage of like, oh, Grayson Waller doing this to Austin Theory and Austin Theory doing that to Grayson Waller. But it's like, again, we got to get to the point soon. Like, we got to get to the eventual turn, the eventual, like, the moment that's going to change everything. Hopefully soon.
Hopefully.
I mean, hell, we have a season premiere next week. What a way to start a new season of SmackDown, look, you know?
I'm going to say my quick thoughts about this since I had to step away. KO match handicap, it happened. I want to give the props to the most biggest best seller right now currently in WWE. It is Austin Theory. The way the way this man took the stunner, he flew up in the air. He landed on his upper back to his head. He had his knees on reversed to him on the side. If anybody noticed the way KO observed how Austin Theory landed, I feel like KO was impressed. Like the way KO hesitated, like KO hesitated to pin KO, not because he didn't want to, but it's because he was thrown off. Like, damn, okay, bro, you landed good. You literally gave me the perfect spot, turn him over, boom, 1, 2, 3. So I really love that. That was something that was very well timed for KO, and I love how Austin finally stood up in the middle of the match against Grayson, but then by the end of the match, he was like, yo, fuck this issues, fuck our problems. You know what? Let's hold each other's hands up in the air like we are the boss. We did this. I'm like, bitches, didn't you have problems like 5 minutes ago in the match where both of you were each other's neck and who was going to take the pin?
Yeah, it's literally the Men in Black pen, where it's like right in front of Theory's face, and he just keeps forgetting everything that's going on.
Look, I like any friendship, like any relationship, you have problems, you have issues. I usually like to talk my issues out with people. Like, hey, if you got an issue, we'll talk what's going on. Some people don't. Some people hold it in. Some people, we're humans. We're not perfect. But for you literally to play off that you have an issue with your tag team partner because, we're going to pin, who's going to get the credit, things happen. But then when it shows that it's not consistent, it really falls off. And that's what happened.
Exactly. Oh boy. But hopefully we get a little bit more next week. We'll have to wait and see, I guess. Well, I guess with everything, we'll have to wait and see. But
Yeah.
you know, we'll see how the tag match goes next week. See if anything moves on from that. But you know, instead of Austin Theory just forgetting everything, they just need to have a fight, maybe like 5 matches or something, to see who's better than the other person. Much like Andrade and Carmelo are doing, to find out, hey, who's better, me or you? And we're going to find out next week when we get that 5th match. But yeah, this is all leading towards basically who's going to be challenging LA Knight next for his US title. LA Knight comes out, cuts a promo, and gets interrupted by Carmelo and Andrade. Vash, I need you to like translate what Andrade said, because like I kind of agree with LA Knight. It's just like I didn't know what you said, but I could tell with the tone of your voice, and I didn't like it at all. Because now I have to step away for just a second. So, Vash, if you're able to translate what Andrade said, by all means, please.
I was trying to find the tweet.
Me, at least.
I was trying to find the tweet if they clip it out and posted it online, but they didn't.
I can find it as you're talking.
Okay, well, once you find it and you can send it, so I could actually do the translation. However, talking about the actual conversation, LA Knight came out. I love how the segues, the commentary, Corey Graves and Michael Cole, they really do the great segues for USA next week for the US champion. The things they're discussing to hype up the show, how everything led up to, you know, LA Knight is LA Knight. He has the Midcarder title, but it's not being treated as a Midcarder. They're trying to bring it back as an IC title type of reign, as a big main roster type of reign, where we have LA Knight, the megastar, do what he can to be out there. So that is really fun to see for LA Knight.
Found it.
Cool. Where did you send it?
On our Weebs of the Ring chat.
Copy. So I really love all that evolving with LA Knight and his party. Carmelo, he said, yo, I got 2 wins over 100. And I love how Andre said, but you didn't mention that you have the 2 losses with me. So technically it's 2-2. So I love how it led up to having a part 5 series. I really love that. It really adds an extra. How about you, Drop?
So pretty much like my overall thoughts on this is I like how we're actually getting something out of this whole Carmelo and Andrade feud, especially when it comes to LA Knight. Because first off, you know, we had a really good video package showcasing everything that's been going on between the both of these guys so far. Gives them something meaningful to do throughout the show, which I really appreciate, because Andrade is very talented. Carmelo's very talented. So putting both of those guys in the ring so they can settle whatever issues with each other, and having that tiebreaker match next week to actually find out exactly who's like, you know, who's the guy, pretty much. Like when Carmelo says, like, you know, who's him. And I pretty much like how, you know, we're getting something that not only helps the both of those guys and builds up their credibility, but also helps LA Knight when it comes to his reign, when it comes to potential opponents that he comes across. And I like how we have, you know, Carmelo as an option, we have Andrade as an option, which is really good because, again, like I said, you know, they're very talented, so they should be utilized on the show. And it just makes me like really curious to see, like, okay, you know, who's gonna come out on top, like at the end of this, because my personal thoughts, like when it comes to like who's gonna dethrone LA Knight, which I don't think it's gonna be happening for quite some time, because, you know, the guy really busted his ass off to get his first title in the company. So he's definitely going to be having, you know, I would say he's probably going to have like a lengthy run with the title, maybe a good 6-7 months or so, maybe around WrestleMania. I definitely, at the very least, I definitely do see him walking into WrestleMania as the champion. I feel like he definitely deserves a moment like that. So I can see him try. My end game with LA Knight, because a lot of people like bringing up the topic of conversation when it comes to like, okay, who's eventually going to take the belt off of this guy, and how are we going to build to that story? My personal thoughts are Braun. I think it's going to be Sheamus. We already know the story there. when it comes to LA Knight, I feel like they want to build a bigger program with him and Mello, because I feel like Mello, as much as I love Andrade, I feel like, since they're really pushing Braun, they're going to do the exact same thing with Mello, which is kind of a nice parallel between the both of them.
Yes.
You got Mello with the US title, you got Braun with the Intercontinental title, considering that both of those guys has started off the new era of NXT, but I see Mello taking the title off of him in the end. But I'm glad that there's actually something meaningful when it comes to the whole conclusion of Carmelo and Andrade's matches, where it's like it's not us just getting great matches throughout the week, which we all enjoyed discussing throughout these weeks when it came to both of them, but it also gives them both a reward, something to look forward to, a title opportunity for busting their asses off and providing us a lot of entertainment. And that's something that I could really appreciate. And I also just like how, LA Knight just shut both of them up real quick and gave both of them BFTs and just pretty much told them, like, you know what, deal with your shit, and then when you're done with that, you can come to me. And I really like that.
I just want to say I love how LA Knight was about to walk out the ring after he gave Andre the first BFT, and then he walked back in. You know what?
Yep.
Carmelo, you're next too.
Fuck you too.
Yeah, like, you know what? I'm going to take you out too. So, for those that are watching the stream, you will be hearing the Andre Spanish version, and I'll be translating it. So this will be the fun part.
Ooh, here we go.
So we have Andre saying, okay.
Y tú,
And you,
para lo único bueno que eres,
the only good that you got,
es para
you know how to talk a lot of shit. That's all you do. You ain't a good champion. Andrade,
será el próximo campeón
I'll be
de
the
los
next champion
Estados Unidos.
of the United States champion.
I don't know a word you just said,
And that's when LA Knight, I didn't know a word you said,
but you
but
might want to check your tone.
I don't like it. So
Okay.
Use your
Okay.
instinct.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
I didn't like the tone. Okay, yeah. So, yeah.
This championship
But question: has Andrade ever been the U.S. champion before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, no wonder when
Yeah,
he
it was
said.
it was in previous run, yeah.
Okay, no wonder, because when he said that it was mine, I'm like, wait a minute, did he ever won one? But I'm like, damn, maybe his first run, but I was unaware of that.
Yeah.
So it's good to know that he's trying to get back on top and trying to get his title. Not that I know that, because now it adds more of a story for Andrade why he's craving that title back, so he could become the next U.S. champion. So I really like that. It adds an extra flavor towards what he's trying to do with it.
Right. Yeah. And I'm kind of in the same boat as you guys. I like how we're getting there's an end goal with this feud with Andrade and Carmelo, because like normally they like to say, oh yeah, the winner of this series, they'll be, up on that next step towards a title opportunity or something. But like this way we're directly involving the champion. And I mean, LA Knight's he's not really the character right now to really interrupt that match and then turn it into a triple threat. So I'm glad we're gonna have an actual decisive winner with all this. And
How do you guys feel
maybe
about
they'll
part
move
5?
on for a bit.
How do you
I'm
guys
okay with that.
feel about them kind of
I'm cool
announcing
with it.
actually with the, not saying I'll call it thumbnail, but the graphic of saying part 5 series, like they didn't say it out of 6 or 7. I'm really happy that they're calling it by each week or by whatever week it has been and where it started. It really adds more flavor to it about the content itself.
Oh yeah. But let's see. Yeah, I mean, not much more
Oh,
to say
wait, there is.
beyond that.
There's one more.
Oh, there is.
I want to give
What?
credit to
What do you have?
Andrade that his Spanish really, I feel like, translates well compared to our other guy, Santos Escobar. Because if people wasn't aware,
Escobar.
there was a video package of Santos Escobar.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
that video package was, well, it delivered for me. Again, I don't know what's with these fucking characters in pro wrestling. That why does every motherfucker need to feel like they're fucking El Chapo, like a mafia boss? Like why? Like we have fucking the Don, we have OTM, like
Cody
every
D.
like every fucking character like needs to be some boss of a city or some boss of an underground. Like what the fuck is this? But to see Andre speak his Spanish and speak about him being a previous champion and do what he's doing, I really like that. It adds an extra flavor, and it was presentable that you could also, if you didn't know Spanish or knew a bit, you could hear it. And L and I played it very well. Like, yo, I didn't understand the word he said. He probably does know Spanish, but for his character, he's like, nah, I don't know Spanish. What the fuck you doing out here? What the fuck? I don't like your tone. So I really love how balanced it was. So I just want to give credit where credit due when you know how to speak your native language, like we have seen Io Sky and other characters do their own type of monologue. Also Shinsuke. So I love how Andre spoke in Canada Spanish. Pretty interesting.
Yeah. But I do like how, like, since WWE have been normalizing promos like that, like especially on the backstage stuff when they do like the promos with like the subtitles and all that. I like how, like, not only, you know, they've been doing that a lot more lately, but how it's making the talent feel more comfortable with not only their native language on TV, but with their second language of English, and just how easy, like, since they're able to, you know, they're allowed to speak in their native tongue, you know, whatever that may be, on camera, they can transition to English a lot more smoother now, where it's like, because like what you were saying with Andrade tonight, like
they've been put in the work.
It's like, you know, he went like from English to Spanish like it was not like he was home talking to Charlotte, you know. Like it was that seamless, and it's just good to see that, you know, just it's one of those simple things that they could have done, that they could have always done, but that it just makes the product so much more, just so much more than it already was.
Welcome, Logan James. We see you in the chat. We appreciate you for coming through. We're here talking about SmackDown Monday. Friday Night SmackDown, the end of an era of Fox. By the way, is it 5 years that's been on Fox, or I remember them saying 7 years?
They said 5. I think they said 5 tonight.
Thank you, because I feel like I was bugging.
Yeah.
I feel like I heard 7 one time. I was like, wait a minute, did they mess up or my ears messed up? But it seemed like my ears weren't messed up, so it's 5 years.
Yeah. But one match that won't take 5 years to have is our final match of the night that we're going to talk about. Michin versus Chelsea Green. This was set up because, hey, Chelsea Green was talking shit with Nick Aldis in the back. And he was like, all right, you want to get back on that horse? Bet. Get back on that horse and try to beat Michin. And we have an impromptu match here. So, Chelsea Green versus Michin. Fun match. Some distraction from Piper leads to Chelsea Green actually putting it. No, I shouldn't say actually. She's the best female superstar they have on the roster. Chelsea Green beat Michin in the middle of the ring. No help from the outside. No shenanigans happening.
Well, technically,
none of that.
Distraction did
Look.
help.
An unpretty her won Chelsea Green the match. Nobody else did. It was all Chelsea Green.
Look,
exactly.
The one thing I will say about this match, congrats for Chelsea Green for getting a push. Congrats for Mitchie for literally been working week to week out on NXT, on Friday Night SmackDown, week to week out since earlier this year. She had a match versus Io on day 1 of SmackDown. So I really love to see that she's been putting the work. Chelsea Green, she's getting the push, and like I'm telling you, we have said it here on the show, we need the Midcard title of the US. This will benefit the women division. It will do very successfully.
Yeah, I'd personally give it to Michin, honestly. To start off with.
Yeah, like she's been putting in the work this year. Like you were saying, like again, she's had multiple women's title opportunities, which is good on her own. But even when she like did a little stunt in NXT again this year, I mean, she was in title pictures there, like with the North American women's title and all that. So, I mean, if somebody were to be one of the first women's mid-card champions, hell, give it to Michin. Again, she's been putting in work.
Hell
you know,
yeah.
like
Go ahead and street
I-
fight back to
and I
back.
think yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Plus
think
she's-
like I remember like this might have been like a few months ago. It's like it might have been me actually complaining, being like, "Oh, why are we getting Michin in a title picture?" But like, this is exactly why, because like we're building up the star, we're building up the contender, because like now she feels like a legitimate contender. Has she won any of the titles yet? No, not yet. But the fact that she's being put in these spots and showing that she can show out in them and like not really fail at them, like that says a lot about her and just how the company views her.
I really am curious to see
But,
what their end goal with this is, because we said it. Chelsea Green will be losing next week Tuesday. Michin, where else can she go if she's going to continue taking L's or getting mixed around? So it really is curious to see what happens with Michin down the line.
Yeah, unless
Yeah.
they continue it, but yet again, what's the end result? You can't just keep having the same match every single week without there being an end result.
Mhm.
That's why, at least with Mello and Andrade, they're not just having like matches every single week. There actually is something at the end, which is that title opportunity to go up against LA Knight. So I'm hoping that we find out exactly what's going on between the both of these, so we can figure out if there's like a set game plan. Because at least with I guess the only thing you could really think of, but at the same time, it's not really related to the main roster, is with Michin. She is setting up a program with Jada Parker in NXT because it's going to be like her and Jada Parker, who happens to be who have a history because they had a little feud there earlier in the year. But it's going to be like the both of them teaming up against JC Jane's new faction over there.
Yes, that is true, because I remember Jada said something on Twitter right after that night. She said, that's what happens when I'm alone or some shit. And then and the Michin said, I think she replied, or Cody said, like, yo, girl, why didn't you call me? And then Cody is saying, yo, pass me the number, let's talk. So they're cooking something good, and I love that she's working. She's keeping busy and she's putting the time. A lot of people was mad. Oh, how can you push Michin when she's losing? I'm like, I don't understand booking. It's not about losing, winning. Yes, winning should help you to get the number one contender spots and everything, or be in the title picture. But whenever you're not fighting for a title picture, it's not for the losing or winning that's important. What's important is the show of the work you're doing and how you grab the audience, because the audience is where you sit there and they buy the shirts, buy the merch, where they come here for you, not watch a 10-minute fight out of a 2-hour show like people were saying a couple weeks ago for Ricochet. So that's a whole comparison I'm trying to give, that I love how our girl Michin is putting the work and the people are loving it. I'm loving it. We saw a beautiful type of...
Sorry, I had to.
No lie, when I said it, I heard it in my head, but then you said it, and the way I did my hands, I feel like I was in a commercial. I'm loving it.
Oh.
Yeah. But like with
Wendy's Krabby
like,
Patty. Sorry, I have to say it since it's been in the document. I'm gonna just throw it out there for anybody who just heard this until the end of the show. But Drop, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I probably will make a video on that.
Oh, we will.
Be it.
Oh, we will. We did agree to it.
But with like adding on to like Chelsea Green too. I mean, there really isn't any plan set in stone. It's just based on speculation of what happened with her and Julia on Tuesday. There really isn't anything set in stone that they're gonna fight. It's just, if you look at how things are shown to us on TV, you could sort of piece it together where it's like, oh, Chelsea Green got embarrassed by Julia. Let's have Julia have her first match against Chelsea Green so she can start building up that momentum whenever her and Roxanne come across each other when they have that title match with one another. That's just pure speculation. We don't know if that's a thing yet. It could potentially be a thing because that kind of fits in with Chelsea's character when it comes to her getting into people's faces.
I love how Chelsea Green always goes on the social media clips. She said, "I did not approve this to be posted. I did not say that. I
Yep.
did not give permission. I did not give my consent." I'm like, girl, what the fuck you on about? There's a
Yeah.
company, they own your rights to literally tweet about you. What you mean? You cannot tell the social media person that's probably 25 years old being told about your page, post this and add this hashtag, tweet it.
Yeah.
Jussie, you're screaming at a ghost. Nobody's gonna answer you.
Ugh.
Mm.
Look, I'll answer her, but I would also have to answer to Matt Cardona, and I don't know if I really want to answer to Matt Cardona.
I don't think you want to fight the
end
indie
it
god.
there. I don't.
No.
I don't think I want to either. SmackDown overall thoughts. It show was fine. It wasn't
Yeah.
like god awful. It was fine. I feel like
Yeah.
too, they just kind of wanted to be done with Fox.
Yeah.
And going back to the Giovanni Vinci squash match kind of thing, it's kind of poetic how SmackDown, like the first SmackDown on Fox, ended with a squash match, and then we get
Yep.
another one that got people talking. I don't know, just kind of there's a weird poetic romanticism with all that
And
that you could glean from, but yeah.
I would like to add to that, to the symbolism, how Corey Graves and Michael Cole opened the first show on Fox 5 years ago, to both of them ending the show. Great booking, great timing, Triple H and the schedulers having this beautiful tie of the knot was amazing. I apologize to Chad if I look exhausted. In the past 72 hours, I've only had 10 hours of sleep, so I am extremely drained, dead in the past 72 hours of work. So if I look like I'm just eyes closing or just exhausted, like, yo, Vash is not even there, like, yes, I'm here. I've been listening the whole time. It's just I cannot physically open my eyes of how tired they are from only having 10 hours of sleep in 72 hours. So I'm here pushing my limits, but we're here, produce a show, did the show, entertain the show. That Friday Night Smackdown is done with the era of Fox. We're entering the new one in USA. Next week is USA 3 show, Monday Night Raw, NXT Tuesday, and Friday Night Smackdown. And then in 3 months, January 6th is Friday. Fucking, yo, this shit's annoying. Monday Night Raw. I can't. Don't confuse.
Football sport.
January
We got the
6th,
Super
Monday Night
Bowls.
Raw will be on Netflix. That's what I'm excited about. And lastly to say,
Mm-hmm.
Grayson, stop treating Austin Theory and making believe that y'all friends. Austin Theory, break out of this birdcage. Break it out. Go gear forth. Break out of this birdcage. You got this. You are handcuffed. You gotta break out your limits. Surpass your fucking limits. And steel cage time. Next week, USA premiere. Roman Reigns may come back. We have no clue. Other than that, drop your overall thoughts.
I mean, I think I pretty much said quite a bit throughout the show, so I don't want to bring up what I've already said already. I just thought it was a solid show. It pretty much just showed that they just want to move on and focus on the new, which is pretty much was the end goal to begin with when it came to a lot of these new networks that they were being a part of, when it came to USA and then the CW network of NXT and with Raw and Netflix. So they pretty much just want to continue down that path that they're doing. So I'm not gonna really say much because I already did, but just overall solid show.
Chad, what he's saying is fuck Giovanni Vinci. Where you at, my 305 Pitbull?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, they just seem to have a better relationship with USA Network, so I think it's all around going to be better for the product in the long run. But hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and ignorant children of the aisles, that has been the Weebs of the Ring podcasteru. I'm going to torture Vash just a little bit more before he can drift off to slumberland. Vash, I need your help with this, because the people out there need to know. like if they want to talk to us, because we're very social people, I'll talk to you over on the whole Twitter machine. I'm sure Drop will talk to you on any social media that he likes to use, whether it's Twitter or anything. It's same with Vash, whatever his social media stuff will be and what he wants to do. But like Vash, where can they find us
Look,
if
guys,
they want to communicate
if you are
with us?
blind,
what can we do?
if you're blind and right now cannot see the visuals aspect of the podcast, I cannot see there's 4 ads right there called AniMa with Studio, Legendary Vash, Drop This Box, Walkers MW, and a hashtag called Weebs of the Ring. That's the best way to find us. And if you are hearing us on the audio, totally understandable, that's why it can't be. But number 2 is we're appreciating all the links down below for Watkins, for Drop This Box, for their personal YouTube channel where Drop uploads video every Monday to Friday. He uploads the nostalgia, the episodic, the everything, the content of the childhood and more. We have Watkins that is gonna just finish dropping the re-uploads. We're about to enter the new era. Just like Fox ended, the re-uploads has ended. Now we have the new ones coming up.
Sir.
We have a 40-something minute video coming up of pure awesomeness. It's like a short film, guys. If you want to just put a little short film of entertainment coming out next week or so definitely check that out on Watkins' channel. I'm gonna tease you now what the content is, unless Watkins wants to tell you guys what it is. I'm gonna just tell you that's beautiful and beautifully edited. The content topic, I'm gonna give it to the actual person that did the video. But other than that, if you want to continue supporting us, like the channel, subscribe, continue to let us know what you guys think about the content, and we appreciate all the support you give us. Press the bell notification. I don't say this enough. If you want to be notified all the time, definitely be notified. Other than that, bring it back to the co-host.
Oh boy. And for your little tease, I guess, I hope you guys like Wukong, because there's gonna be a version of Wukong that I'll talk about. But anyways, that's besides the point. Like he said, and of course, with Drop, he may be talking about nostalgia, but hey, he remembers it, so you can remember it as well. I tried to do something with Nostalgia Critic there and failed miserably, but that's besides the point. I'm just going to take the time to say thank you all so much for taking time out of your day to listen to the Weebs of the Ring podcast. If you enjoyed what we had to say, why not do exactly what Vash just told you to do? We are known as AniMa We Studio on all social media platforms. Just remember, that's we with a 3. Also, use the hashtag Weebs of the Ring to interact with us about anything, and I mean anything, regarding wrestling before, during, or after our shows. Feedback is always appreciated, as we are nothing without you guys tuning in. Weebs of the Ring is presented by AniMa We Studio, thanks to our production team of Vash, Watkins, Drop This Box, Rome, and Jokester, as well as special thanks to JB and Abe. Thank you for joining us, and remember, as always, no stunt grannies were harmed in the recording of this podcast. Have a good night, each and every single one of you.
We see you in the next one. Pancakes goes on cheese, cheese on pancakes.
I am going to
Yeah,
Chidori Blade.
that's definitely going to be another merch shirt. That might be the top seller. I mean, honestly, just thinking about it, Vash might be the top seller, period. People will be making shitload of memes out of him.
I activated my lightning jutsu.